Hello Football Daily fans and welcome to a very special edition of Winners and Losers. It's the season review, that's right, we're picking the best and the worst from across the whole year. Pato, we're going to lead off on this very overcast Monday with the Champions League though, aren't we?
Yeah, it has to be the biggest game of the season. And to start, we've got a little video thrown together by Joe and Dave. They were lucky enough to get tickets to the final from PlayStation UK. So here's a video diary that they've put together for your enjoyment. Roll.
So you may be watching this on Monday afternoon, but right now it's 5 o'clock on Saturday, 2 hours to the Champions League final. We're here at the Champions Village, which is buzzing. We've just seen Edgar Davids wandering about with his glasses. He looks decent. PlayStation tent right there. Big up the guys at PlayStation for flying us down to the game, getting us some tickets. Davo, what's your prediction?
I'm going to go 2-1 Juventus. I think they will have the perfect game plan to neutralise Real Madrid. Be very cagey, very tight. 2-1. I think they'll take the trophy back to Turin.
I'm going for the exact opposite. 2-1 to Real Madrid. I think Cristiano Ronaldo has got enough. He'll score today. I think that Real Madrid's crosses are going to cause Juventus all sorts of problems. I'm going 2-1 to Madrid.
See.
So the game's finished, a battering, 4-1 to Real Madrid. Cristiano Ronaldo, as I called earlier, has banged. Dave, what did you think of that one?
Well, I actually feel a bit bad for Juventus, you know what I mean? Like, in the first half, they're probably even a better team, but they didn't take their chances. Real Madrid come up second half, gave them no time to look at, complete domination in terms of the football. Real Madrid's midfield in the second half were outstanding. Yeah. Kept the ball from start to finish, and that is the reason why they scored the 4 goals. Simple as that.
Yeah, I thought Modric, probably the man of the match. Isco's immense too. But Gonzalo Higuain, Patrick, I'm sure you're going to say that he had a decent game, because you're always controversial, but he was appalling today. Where was he? I don't know what he was doing. He looked so slow. Sergio Ramos bullied him up and down the field all day long.
I don't understand why bloody Isco didn't get man of the match. He was fantastic today.
Well, because Cristiano Ronaldo is the golden boy, isn't he? And as everybody knows, when you score 2 goals in a Champions League final, you win man of the match. 3 Champions Leagues in 4 years for Madrid. Zidane's done it yet again. What a manager, what a team. Hala Madrid.
Anyway guys, big thank you to the guys at PlayStation UK for sending us here. We cannot thank enough. Absolutely amazing day. Back to you guys back in the studio.
Oh, also, we completely forgot to mention it, but Mario Mandzukic, that's disgusting. Honestly, if you're under 18, you shouldn't be watching that kind of thing.
Yes, thank you for that wisdom, Ginge, and that Mandzukic goal was something special, and the game was poised then, wasn't it, Pato? Juve managed to drag themselves back into the tie, but the second half, my oh my, did Los Blancos take the initiative. Juve had 1 shot in the second half, 1 unblocked shot. Real Madrid had 13, and they just took control in midfield, didn't they? Anyone on that halfway line with the ball in Real Madrid's team had 5 or 6 options. Isco was floating out wide. Dani Carvajal was really stretching the play, wasn't he? Luka Modric taking control like the absolute G he is. But I want your insight, because you are the man.
Well, they were hugely outnumbered in midfield, weren't they, Juventus? And I think they thought they'd get more traction down the wings. They thought that Alexandro and Dani Alves would give them that width, but each of those players lost the ball 15 times in this game. And it didn't help as well when Pjanic went off. He'd been booked. He just avoided a second yellow card, and so I think Allegri felt he had to remove him. But that meant that they had nobody who had that ability to skip past a couple of players and unlock the defence. I know Joe blamed Higuain in this, and I'm not going to say it was a good performance, but I'm also not really sure what Higuain could have done. He had 0 service in the second half, and he's not the guy who's going to beat 6 people and ram it in the top corner. Then again, neither's Cristiano Ronaldo anymore, but he did get the service in this game, and that to me is the difference. When you look at the squads, as the match went on and things were going against Juve, they were able to bring on Marquisio, who is good. They were able to bring on Cuadrado, who's good, and then Mario Lemina for Paulo Dybala, because Dybala had an absolutely appalling night. those are good, some of those are good players, but they're not really game changers. Whereas Real Madrid were already up 2 goals and were able to bring on Bale, Morata and Asensio, who grabbed a goal actually, the 21-year-old.
It was a lovely steered finish, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was quite easy for him by that point, but you've got to feel sorry for Gigi Buffon. This is my personal low light of the season, I think. Seeing him lose a 3rd Champions League final. 21 years now for Juventus without winning the Champions League. They've lost the final 5 times since they last won it. It's absolutely tragic. I can't stand seeing the pain on his face.
Yes, the old lady can't seem to shake that curse, can she? A poor run of form for the Juve outfit, but Ronaldo, Champions League football, he was made for it, wasn't he? That is now 4 goals in Champions League finals. That's twice as many as Messi. And in 2013-14, he actually trailed Messi 3-1 in Champions League medals and 4-1 in Ballon d'Ors. It's now 4-4 in the former and 5-4 in the latter, maybe soon to be 5-all, Pato. What do you think, guys? Let us know in the comments below. But yes, Zidane, his manager as well, the guy who convinced him to play less minutes at the start of the season, paid dividends at the end. He's now won back-to-back European Cups, the first manager to do so since Arrigo Sacchi in 1990. A big well done to him, guys. But is he the tactical genius that people are making him out to be? Yes, probably. Let us know in the comments below.
Okay, let's roll into the normal winners and losers format now. Chris and I have both picked a winner and a loser from the season, so we're going to go through and discuss them. And my winner to kick us off is young Kylian Mbappe. Now, at the beginning of the season, they were saying he was the new Thierry Henry, and by the end of it, you felt that he was maybe starting to earn that title. Henry took 3 seasons at Monaco before he picked up a Ligue 1 title. Mbappe's managed it in just his 2nd campaign. Now, lest we forget, he might not have actually had this season at all. Last summer, there were rumours that Man City had bid £35 million for him. And he only played 14 times for Monaco at that point.
Good from their scouting network.
Well, yeah, exactly. I mean, and of course, Arsene Wenger says that he was at Mbappe's house last summer trying to convince him to come to Arsenal. Really interesting. But he only turned 18 halfway through this season. In December, just before Christmas, that's when he turned 18. Started the year on the bench, of course, as well. He only completed the full 90 minutes once before February. That's insane. What a second half of the season it's been, though. Once he was in the team, 21 goals and 8 assists in 2,037 minutes across the Champions League and Ligue 1. That means he's involved in a goal every 70 minutes. He takes 3.2 shots a game, 91% of those come from inside the box. So it's no surprise that he's converting at an absolutely insane rate. And he contributed 26 goals in all competition, as Monaco bagged 159 goals in 63 games. That's a rate of 2.52 goals per game this season. Monaco could not stop putting it in the back of the net, even when it just bounced off Mbappe's knee and went in. Unbelievable.
C'était génial, Pato. Not a bad season from his manager either, was it? Leonardo Jardim reached the final of the Coupe de Ligue, the semis of the Coupe de France, and the Champions League, and won the league by 8 points. So in the end, they smashed it despite being chased by Nice, PSG all season long. Now, this is only their 4th season back in the top flight. We forget this. And they are competing with a squad whose average age is well under 25. And they finished on 95 points as well. That's 1 point short of PSG's all-time record, which was set last year. And as you say, that goal difference, plus 76. My, oh my. They weren't only prolific at the front though, Pato. They only conceded 31 in 38 league games at the back too. So super tight in defence. That's only 2 fewer than Chelsea managed in the Premier League. Woohoo! Mbappe now, where will he go? That's the question on everyone's lips this summer, isn't it? It's been the subject of a 100 million bid from Arsenal apparently. Real Madrid are sniffing around as they always are. The absolute hounds. I mean, Bernardo Silva's left. Sidibe, Bakayoko might be going to Chelsea. Lamar, I don't know where he's off, but I imagine there's a lot of suitors. Linked with Spurs and Arsenal. North London then maybe. Mendy's been linked with Manchester City, hasn't he? Sorry. So, I mean, is that squad going to be picked apart? Will Mbappe be playing in France next season? We don't know, but do you? Let us know in the comments below. My first loser of the season is Lucho. It's Luis Enrique from Barcelona, who back in March, when Barcelona were top of La Liga, still in the Champions League and the Copa del Rey, announced he was leaving at the end of the season after what appeared to be burnout, Pato, similar to what Pep sort of endured in his last year at Barcelona. Now, they ended up winning the Copa del Rey, so he at least ended his tenure with a trophy, but they exited the Champions League meekly after losing to Juventus, following that historic comeback against PSG that will live long in the memory of every football fan from now until the end of time. So he at least has that, but where did it all go wrong? I mean, we've had this conversation a couple of times, haven't we, with the likes of Guillaume Balaguer on Continental Club, and it all seems to come back to that summer where he spent 126 million on players who weren't necessarily going to improve that first team, who were maybe just going to be happy with the minutes they were given any which way. I mean, we have the likes of Digne, Gomez, Silasson, Paco Alcalfa amongst that. And as I said, 126 million. There's not a lot of value for money there, is there?
Yeah.
Umtiti is the exception. He excelled in that defence. The third best defence in Spain, actually, better than Real Madrid's. So they were tighter than usual at the back. But I mean, meanwhile, we look at the people that exited the club, and is there a balance there in whoever came in? Were they making them stronger than whoever left? I mean, Marc Bartra left for 8 million. Dani Alves and Sandro Ramirez left on frees. Alves won a domestic double. Ramirez, who I didn't know much about until we did a bit of research here. The 21-year-old, his contract wound down. He scored 14 league goals, I believe, at Malaga this season. And it looks like he might be going to the Premier League for the sum of 5 million. He's got a release clause in his contract. Actually, Atleti were really interested in him until that they were banned. That ban was upheld, from signing players. But big players in that team also had ineffectual seasons, didn't they?
Yeah, well, for a long time, Neymar was underperforming in the league, or at least he wasn't racking up a lot of goals and assists, which is unusual for him. But Busquets had a really poor campaign. I mean, normally he anchors that midfield, and for me, he's comfortably maybe the best defensive midfielder I've ever seen. But it was not a great season for him, and they couldn't find those midfield solutions, which is always what Barca's quality is built on. At one point, they looked like they were starting to solve it. They moved into a 3-4-3. Rafinha was getting minutes out wide and looked really, really good. They're making some progress with him, and then he had an injury. He's got a knee injury that's going to keep him out for a while yet. But despite all that, Luis Enrique departs Barcelona with the best win percentage in the club's modern history, 76.9% win rate. That beats the previous holder of the record, who's Tito Villanova, actually. In his 3 years at Barcelona, Luis Enrique has won 9 trophies, including 2 league titles, 3 Copas del Rey, 1 Champions League. So there are doubles and trebles in there aplenty. He's now going to take a sabbatical for the game, which is probably for the best. He's obviously going to be exhausted.
He's looking grey this year.
Yeah, exactly. Though it kind of suits him. And Barca have appointed Athletic Club's Ernesto Valverde to take over, which is probably one of the least inspiring managerial appointments I've heard for a while.
I mean, he knows La Liga, doesn't he? Having managed Villarreal.
Great.
He played for Barcelona, but still the fans were calling for his head after 2 days in order for the club to sign Tuchel.
Yeah, I mean, knowing the league, I think is probably one of the most overrated qualities in a manager. I've never understood what value it brings. Like in the Premier League this season, you look at the top teams, and Conte doesn't know the league. Guardiola doesn't know the league. Like I don't really understand it. But anyway, we will see what happens with Barcelona next season. For them, this is an absolutely appalling campaign. So you'd assume things can only get better. But Luis Enrique, a little bit unfair on him, but he has to be in our losers.
My first winner of Pluck for a Manager, Pato, has got to be Antonio Conte, who led Chelsea to the Premier League title and an FA Cup final in his debut season in England. Now, Chelsea finished the season with 93 points. That is the second highest tally in Premier League history, I believe after Mourinho, and a 43-point improvement on last season. 43. They won 30 games in the league. That's the most ever, and equaled the Prem record for the most consecutive league wins on 13. And more impressively, they beat 12 different sides, home and away.
Mental. Absolutely mental.
So just consistent G's. Now, in the summer, they spent really wisely after what appeared to the neutral to be quite bemusing transfers, didn't they? They spent 118 million bringing players in, but recouped 95 million sales too, meaning their net spend was actually only 23 million. That's lower than the likes of Stoke, Middlesbrough, Crystal Palace and Burnley. So they conducted smart business in the summer, despite bringing back the likes of Marcos Alonso, who previously played for Bolton and Sunderland, and bringing back David Luiz, that raised a few eyebrows, didn't it?
It really did.
But yeah, he now has a career win percentage, Conte, of 58.4%, which is slightly higher than Fergie, although he might be doing Fergie a disservice there. Did come into a poor United setup, although Conte has managed at Bari.
Conte managed at Bari. I think he managed at Siena as well. At one point, he had a 25% career win percentage. So he has boosted it quite a long way. And it's no surprise when you look at the last 4 league campaigns he's managed in, he's won all of them. And this season, he really earned his money. The first 6 league matches, Chelsea took 1.7 points per game. At the end of those, they were in 8th place. They had a goal difference of +1. Over the next 32 matches of the season, they took 2.6 points per game. That is absolutely nuts. Now, the key issue now is going to be keeping the squad together for next season. Diego Costa looks like he's going to stay. Eden Hazard, we thought Real Madrid might come back for him, but now that he's fractured his ankle on Belgium duty, perhaps they'll be disinclined to do that. And Conte has never really found his feet at Champions League level for whatever reason.
The quarterfinal's the best.
The quarterfinal is the best that he's done. So it'll be intriguing to see how he manages on multiple fronts next year. The question we want to know is, who should they add in the summer? What are the weak areas in that squad? They've been linked with players like Bakayoko, they've been linked with strikers as well. But who do you think Antonio Conte should bring in? Let us know in the comments below.
Right, I'm going to have to introduce our next losers because look at this guy. Deeply emotional, as always, troubled, some have said, scarred. But it is Arsene Wenger's Arsenal. Shock, the Gooners are feeling sorry for themselves.
It's another great year to be an Arsenal fan, mate. Yet another great year. Finished 5th, lowest position under Arsene Wenger. Miss out on the Champions League for the first time since 1996, 1997. Finished below Spurs for the first time since 94, 95, though I don't feel that bothered about given how good Spurs have been this season. They have been really, really good. Won the FA Cup though, and Wenger got a new contract till 2019, so I feel good. I feel good about that.
2 more years.
Well, I don't know. It's one of those things where you think, okay, it's probably time for the club to make a change, but at the same time, like, the things that people have said about Wenger this season are genuinely disgusting. Like, they're like, oh, he's holding our club back. Guess what? We weren't that big, like, when he took over.
Yes.
Like, we'd had a few years of being absolutely rubbish. So I kind of think if he wants to run us into the ground and get us relegated, he should be allowed to. He should sell everyone he wants.
He's earned that right.
But anyway, this season it was the story of a dysfunctional midfield. We've had some weird midfields over the last few years, but Santi Cazorla and Francis Coquelin, for all its faults, did actually work. We got a lot of points that season, but Cazorla suffered an injury back in October and he sat out the rest of the season. Now, before he was injured, we won 6 in a row in the league and we'd taken 2.4 points per game in the Premier League. Over the course of a season, you extrapolate that out, it would have been 90 points. So we could have come second place.
So yeah, still not enough to win it.
Well,
yes, you're right. The injury to the diminutive little playmaker was season defining, wasn't it? When he went down, he was crocked and Wenger had to bed Xhaka in. Arsenal's points per game went below that 2 threshold to 1.9. Now, banners were flown over the stadium and the Gunners went out of the Champions League, didn't they? 10-2 as well in aggregate. I was at that game. Yeah. And the atmosphere was as bad as people make out.
Everyone was cross.
At the library. I mean, your most original chant was, Ospina!
Is that what a team's based on? How good its chants are?
Yes.
You're such a Celtic fan.
I'm such a Celt, mate. Lyrical.
Idiot.
Anyway. But yeah, Wenger did manage to scrape together a late salvo, didn't he, at the end of the season when he switched to that 3-4-3.
Yeah.
And there were some highlights. I mean, a rare away win at Stoke, mate.
Yeah, I know.
How was that?
Yeah, it was
and
good
victories over Koeman as well and Mourinho, and of course that FA Cup run with wins over Manchester City and Chelsea. Arsenal's record wasn't great against the top 6 sides prior to that. No. Well, specifically in the league. But yeah, you managed to take a couple of scalps in the cups. But Ozil and Sanchez yet to sign new contracts as well, mate. So they're still up in the air. And it remains to be seen whether Arsenal can sort of attract that top-tier talent without the promise of Champions League football. True. Because my oh my are those players not turning out for the atmosphere.
Well, yeah, they're going to have to pull the money out this season. But who should Arsenal sign? Who can they sign? Where do you think they'll finish next season? That's what we want to know from you. Let us know, as usual, in the comments.
So they were our season-ending winners and losers over here on FD, guys. Who were yours? We want to know. As always, chuck them in the comments below. What should they do next, Pat?
they should actually head over to Euro Football Daily and check out Stat Wars. And of course, there's Sunday Vibes right here on FD. You know where to find it.
And as ever, don't forget to like and subscribe.